Aloha, beautiful fam. Unity Grace here, just dropping in to do a little love stream to talk about our online meditation we're doing tonight on our Spreaker page. So, there was a lot of information coming through as I was driving, as there often is, and so I thought I would share it with you while it was flooding the field. So we'll just wait to see if anyone jumps online. So we are at a significant phase in the moon. Hi, Infinity. Aloha. How are you? Nice to see you. I'm taking you all on a ride with me and just letting a few more people jump on before we start and jump into this transmission. It's so good to see everyone. And I'm here, babe. All right, so I'm just going to start sharing. So beautiful, infinity, freedom. Hi, Lawrence. Aloha. Love you guys. I'm flying my light ship with you right now, so we can bring this transmission through. So we are doing an online meditation tonight, and it's happening at 7-Eleven. And that is what the guidance has shown me is the aurora frequency. On my journey on the grids, there was a very special moment of the grid work that occurred in St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican when we were in the unplugging phase. And 7-Eleven was the frequency when the aurora frequency came in. Grandma Silver Star from the Star Knowledge family sent me a message as they knew that I would be there at that time, and won't go too much into the details, just to say 7-Eleven is the aurora. So we are doing an online meditation tonight at 7-Eleven through our Unity Transmission Spreaker. And there is a lot of transformation occurring within us right now, and so my role is just to kind of help and break down the mechanics so that people get new handholds inside of their consciousness to go, that totally makes sense. So I often use the analogy that we are like melted chocolate that was poured into a chocolate mold called a blueprint, but we're not our blueprint. And we are blueprint busters. We learned to still the waters of our beings, the emotional waters of our being. That was about learning to balance the polarities and bring them into neutral. And as we bring the polarities into neutral within ourselves, something incredible happens, which is transfiguration, which is metamorphosis, which is quantum leap, which is beyond the mind's imagining. And yet here we are, and it's happening. So some of the mechanics of what is coming through right now and what I'm being shown for us as a collective species in a collective avatar that shares the same DNA. Keeping in mind that DNA is designed to fill with light, to flood with light. The light opens the DNA to vaster realms of consciousness. So we've been doing that part of the expansion of our consciousness, and now we are integrating that in totality into the flesh. And that is where we are at now. The starry vaults of the heavens have opened. And what is amazing, as I woke in the miracle coordinate or rose toes, as I like to say, or open my eyes in the morning, the first words that came through were that the heavenly vaults were open. And so what is also really beautiful is to see how other people in the collective get the same messages. So language is speaking to us in these symbolic ways to tell us what's going on within us. So the starry vaults of heaven have opened, and what does this mean in a metaphor or some way that we could relate or connect into it? What it means is we have, I don't like the words like blueprints and templates and all of that, but for sake of ease, for something to relate to, we'll just say that we have this higher, more expansive blueprint. We have this original divine blueprint with source creation. And that original divine blueprint with source creation, that expansive overself that we are, is now opening to our revelation. We have been working through the mechanics of activating our physical flesh, our avatars. It's like the dragonfly and the nymph. The nymph is the larva in the water, and the dragonfly is now being flooded with light within us. And we are beginning to bring this profound transfiguration into the flesh. This is the alignment that's occurring. It's like all the monarchs hatch at the same time, and so when the intel comes in and guidance provides certain metaphors or ways to relate to this, they're very simple to relate to others to help us understand what it is. So, the starry vaults of the heavens have opened, meaning that we all have this miraculous future self that has been waiting for us to come into alignment, to receive it. And if we think about it like this is one of the metaphors that I was given recently, which is really fun and really effective. Let's go for a walk in the park. That's what I wanted to get, because I love the park. And I love walking there with you. Let me get my scarf. It's a little chill here in Victoria. Take off my little microphone from Miracle from Shenandoah. It was so kind to send it. Just one miracle. All right, here we are. Got our scarf on, and we'll go for a little walk in the park. So if we think of our beautiful flesh suits as orbs, in fact, what is beneath the flesh is this magnificent ball of energy. And that's who we really are as individual reflections of source consciousness. You're very patient with me. Hang on. Yay. Yay to the outdoors, to the snow. Yes. We're these individual fields of energy, and we currently have these costumes upon us that look like human flesh suits. And that is reorganizing from the inside out. And that's pretty exciting. So, if we think, sorry, I just get my mittens on. Where's the other one? That's it. You're all so patient. Hang on. Okay, there. Yay! You can see a little bit of snow in Victoria. A rarity. Chill. So our wonderful flesh suits are inside. We have these little orbs of energy, and that's the essence of who we are. And if you think of that field of energy as being electromagnetic, like it draws particles to it to create structure. So when we came into the human flesh, we took a blueprint and we called that structure together around us, around our little energy orbs. And now we are releasing those energy orbs, that polar opposite connection. It's like the metaphor that we were given the other day. It was like little hermit crabs in the water. And some little hermit crabs have this way of protecting themselves when a predator comes along, and they pull sand onto their little shell and they cover themselves with sand and shells. And so it's like this camouflage. Well, that's exactly the same as us in our human flesh. We've like electromagnetically drawn the particles to organize themselves in a way that looks like human. And so that is going through transfiguration. The vaults of the heavens, according to the guidance, have now opened. And what that means, if we were to relate to our blueprint, a lot of people follow the gene keys with me, with Richard Rudd. And so in our blueprint, we have 4 primary genes, and the second one is called the evolution. Now, I always like to say the first one is what we came in to do, and the second one is the one that promised to kick us in the bum to make sure that we did it. So the evolution now for the vast majority of the collective is complete. We got kicked enough in the booty to actually do our work to neutralize the polar opposites. If this love stream is helpful, please share. And please join us tonight at 7-Eleven for our meditation to take us deeper into this. So the evolution in our chart, the second gene key that comes through in the hologenetic profile, is the one that kicked us in the bum to make sure that we got our work done. So it was like the thorn in the side, whatever that gene key was, and what the guidance is showing, that has now been released with a mass wave of consciousness that is leaving the planet, is that the evolution is completed, meaning the original source balls of energy that we are no longer have to play out those roles for us. We don't have to play each other's polar opposite. We're becoming sovereign. In fact, we are. And so when we're sovereign, it means my energy field and your energy field no longer need to interact for one to be whole and complete. And when that occurs, everything changes. Because now we are 100% the full creator. Not that we weren't before. It's just that our energy fields, we're interchanging energy together. So that has now transformed and changed according to the guidance. Our fields are completely sovereign, and we completed our evolution. So inside of that, we become these pristine energy balls again, in like that little hermit crab example, where the hermit crab covers itself with sand and shells to protect itself, kind of like a little camouflage or costume. That is falling away for all of us. And so now what happens to that pure ball of energy is that it can receive a new cymatic. That's my favorite word for blueprint, because that's really what it is. It's a new design coming in. You know, cymatics, they're like snowflakes. Every single snowflake unique and different, because it's a different sound in creation. That's what cymatics are. We all know what they are by now. Sound creates form. Sound organizes particles into form. That's the orchestra of the cosmos, which is why it's so cool that there's snow on the ground right now. Each snowflake, unique and different. Each snowflake, a unique sound of creation. So as we go up into the starry vaults of the heavens in our meditation tonight at 7:11, we are returning to that source point of origin, that connection of our energy field with creation. We've been doing this over time in many ways, in many dimensions, to prepare the physical flesh suit to be ready for that thing we call ascension. And if this video's LoveStream is helpful, please share. So now what is beginning to come into the field, because we have released a complete layer of the mass consciousness, which liberates every little orb of energy back into its own pristine field. Because everything is just a role in the play on behalf of creation. So we've been purifying, and the heat and the water in the body has been transforming the waters back to stillness, to actually open to receive a new cymatic, a new sound. And we are a symphony, and we are harmonic. Breath work is very significant for these physical flesh suits. Much of what we're coming back to remember, as although it was never forgotten, is the mechanics of the flesh, like how to activate it and how to turn it on. So then there's breath. I put a great Mantak Chia video on my page today. I love that star being and the teachings that he's brought to the planet. They've been very helpful for me through the journey. And one of the breathing exercises he talks about is for pumping the fluid of the body. He talks about the pumps. I think he said we have 7 pumps in the body, or 5. So one of the breathing exercises is kind of like you put your arms out on both sides and you arch your back, and then you lean forward, you curve your back, you curl. We do a lot of that in Bikram's yoga. They call it choke throat, where you bend your throat right in so it starts to activate the thyroid and all these important parts of our body. So Mantak Chia talks about working the pump, and we go back and we breathe out and we roll forward, and that gets the pump going. And he talks about one of the organs that medicine doesn't talk about, which is an organ that sits right around the dantian. It's a system of its own. And it's a place where we can store energy. But we have to get it working, hence breath. And breath is very significant because it ties into the 5th gene. And the 5th gene is the gene that has access to the entire digital library. I speak of it often. Go to Richard Rudd's Gene Keys book. Hi, Richard. So the 5th gene is all about breath. it has a connection. All the DNA of everything is connected. And it's about patience. And it's about breath. So we know that breath is very important to the body, to get these systems running, to get the cerebral spinal fluid flowing. The owl just agreed. And as you know, I often share Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and how he also teaches the breath work, moving the kundalini. Hi, little Robin. So cute. Yes, Dr. Joe talks about pulling the energy up from the first center, he calls it. Some call it the root chakra, all the way up through the centers to the top of the head, and then we want to keep it there. And then Montauk Chia talks about working these pumps and getting these pumps working, and where to put your hands on the back of the head and the back of the back. These are our light ships, after all. We just, maybe some places in the world forgot how to drive them. I always call this Flight Lessons 101. And the owner's manual we left behind. Getting into the center of our mothership so we can take off. So we got to know the mechanics of it. So we're going to do a little breath tonight in our meditation. Can you hear the owl? There's many, actually. Our home is surrounded by a lot of owls. It's so nice. We're going to do some breath. And then we're going to go through the gateway. And we're going to go through the portal. We're going to bring everything into alignment. We're going to come into a whole brain state. And when we do, all circuits are in attunement. And then we pass through the veil. Some call it the speed of light. We're going to pass through the veil. We're going to sit in the center of our mothership. You know, when you see those paintings of people sitting in the middle of the lotus, that's our mothership. We're going to sit in the middle of the mothership, and we're going to go all the way up to the vaults of heaven and sit in the presence of benevolent creation and connect with our primordial divine blueprint with Source. And we're going to open the mechanics of our beautiful flesh suits to receive these stellar coordinates, maps. We are the stars embodied. Those stars we see outside of us are inside of us. I remember the miracle that I looked at the stars under a dark sky one night doing grid work with no light and went, all right, stars, you guide me home. And in that instant, I realized exactly where all the constellations sat within my own flesh suit. And I went, now I know what it means to be a full star being. When we remember as above, so below, and those stars that we see outside, we remember are in us as well. And then we begin to learn to navigate ourselves in a completely unique and different way. As within, so without, and so we learn to navigate the internal and the external simultaneous such that there is no separation. So we're going to do some of that tonight in our beautiful meditation. Meditation Freedom Infinity said, Unity, will you do a meditation? So this is it. We're coming together. We're coming together to create community. In fact, to awaken to the community that we already are. we're remembering, and now that we've passed through all these starry gates for the heavenly vaults to open, the obstacles are gone. And now it is time, and beyond time, called the miracle, to begin to fully experience the presence of the pod mind, of the collective, to remember that we are one. And so when we go into those starry vaults tonight, we are going to receive our own personal coordinates, our own star maps of remembrance. And we are going to connect together. And we are going to rock it, because we already have, because it's already happened on this planet Earth together. So let's go into the field together. If this love stream is helpful, please share it. If you're interested in joining us in the meditation, please share it. Getting lots of cool notes from people who are really excited. Why? Because we're all feeling it. All right. That's good for now. Thanks for tuning in. Just a little piece of to contemplate before our meditation. Infinite love and aloha.